So you've started on your tech journey, and maybe as you've been traveling along that, that path, maybe you've come across some difficulties. Maybe you're not feeling the most inspired. Maybe you don't have that, urge to just keep going. Maybe you want to take a break. Maybe you want to slow down, either take less classes per semester. Maybe you want to put a pause on the course you decided to buy on Udemy or Coursera or, FreeCodeCamp, whatever. And, rightfully so, right? It's not the easiest thing to do to become, competent in the tech industry. But I'm going to go over a really important aspect, the aspect of networking that you may be neglecting, and why I think that's probably going to solve a lot of your problems. It's going to help you with that. Maybe lack of drive you might be experiencing, maybe some of those challenges, those obstacles, those hiccups that make you feel like you're not making any progress, or like maybe you feel like you're not progressing fast enough. And we're going to talk about that for a bit. So let's go over what the path is, right? For somebody that decided to either major in computer science or decide to get some kind of education in technology, right? In order to gain a skill, because at the end of the day, we want to get a skill to get a job, right? So how does everybody start in this major, right? Well, we start with basic programming, right? We start with our first programming language, and whether that's Java or C, everybody started with one programming language, right? So let's say you start with Java. As you learn the very basics of that programming language, well, congratulations, right? Now you have a foundation to programming. Now you understand how to program, you understand what programming is, you understand how you can make things with the programming language, right? And that leads you into, now you have, in a simply put way, you have the ability to make stuff. Now you can make some simple games, maybe make a calculator, maybe make a simple mobile app, or just, a simple app with Java or whatever programming language you pick, right? And again, even if you didn't learn that from the basics or from the first course you took, which you usually don't, you can take that foundation from your first course and take a bit of a more advanced course, right? Whether that's in YouTube, Udemy, that kind of stuff, right? So as you start making things, well, these projects that you make, you can put this on your resume, right? You don't necessarily put in your resume what classes you took, what grade you got. You put the things you've worked on, the things you've made, and the technologies that you use for that project you worked on, right? That's what goes on your resume. And that's what lets you apply to internships. Because again, when you're filling out your resume as a student or somebody without experience, you don't want to send them a blank sheet of paper with just your name and personal information, right? You want your resume to show some reflection of your ability to, program or create apps or whatever it is you're applying for, right? And again, along with that resume, aside from your projects that you've made, even if it's at a very basic level, you also want to put other things you've participated in, right? Hackathons, school clubs, that kind of stuff. And of course, the more you apply, the more interviews you get. Again, you're not going to get hired right on your first interview, whether that's for an internship or a job. But the more things you make, the more stuff you can put on your resume, the more events you attend or places you go to meet people, whether that's groups, study groups, school clubs. Again, the more stuff you can put on your resume, the more opportunities that will open up as you do more applications, as you get more interviews, as you get better at your interviews. Because again, the interview process, that's its own thing too. You have some interviews, you might have a tough or a simple technical assessment. There's also the personality aspect, right? That's, at the end of the day, still a conversation you're having with another human being. Again, over time, as you make more things, add more stuff to your resume, get better at interviews, eventually you get an internship offer or a job offer, right? So that's the end goal. That's where we want to get to. And I know that seems like a lot, and I know that may seem like it's pretty, I know those times in my career when I was starting out that it seemed like it was a very far and very distant future before that happened, right? And that's why I want to focus on this part, right? The hackathons, the school clubs, the tutoring, the networking events, all that stuff, the career fairs. You want to have a group of people that you can, for one, hold you accountable, right? If you're in school, you have the benefit that you have your students in the class that you're taking. If you're doing a group project, you have that communication with them. But a big part of what helps you propel forward in such a tough industry like tech is that you're not alone in it. You're working with other students. So, even though you're going through this very difficult task, at the end of the day, it's very helpful that you're not doing it alone, that, you share the struggles of the assignment or the midterm that's coming up with other students. Now, if you're not going the college route, I think it's just as important to have a group of people that you're kind of like going into battle with, that are also trying to achieve what you're achieving, right? Now, this does become a little more difficult online, especially because there's so many roadmaps to a tech career, because there's so many different job roles that you can fill in tech. So somebody that's trying to be a database administrator is not going to go anywhere near the same kind of challenges as somebody that's trying to become a software engineer, right? And even at that, like somebody that's trying to be a backend developer is not going to go through the same trouble as somebody that's trying to be a front-end developer or UI UX developer, right? You get the gist, right? That there's different paths, there's different challenges, and depending on what you're going for, you may or may not be able to find somebody that's kind of going through those challenges, right? But even at that, I think also aside from the aspect of having people that you can work with towards the same goal, it's also useful to be around people that have already been through what you've been through, and they can offer some kind of mentorship or some kind of guidance. Again, because if you're just taking your first programming class, again, just to use the Java example, if you're having trouble with some of the core concepts, or you're having trouble with loops, maybe you're having trouble with data types, maybe your code just isn't running, you can't figure out why, it's going to be helpful to have somebody to ask that already went through that class, that maybe already made a few projects on their own, or maybe they're about to graduate, or maybe they've already had an internship and that kind of stuff, right? So having somebody that's a few steps ahead of you is always going to be helpful. And the same applies to any stage of the process, right? Once you start applying, once you start creating your resume, well, you're going to want to have somebody that you can reference that has already done it and that has already succeeded in doing that, right? You don't want to create a resume that's so, new and out there that, when recruiters look at it, they're going to know that this is being done by a novice because it's a very strange looking resume. No, you want to follow the industry standards. And yeah, you can, you can Google resume templates. You can look at tons of videos on that. But I think being able to have that one-on-one feedback from somebody viewing your resume and being able to share their personal experience with you is also going to be helpful. Again, so I think on top of all that, really at the core, what it comes down to is you want to feel like you're moving forward and like you're making progress in your goal, right? This is not that it's a complex path, but it's definitely not an easy one. I know for me, there was a lot of times where maybe I felt like, the end was nowhere in sight. I felt like maybe I just wasn't going to be able to, get to that point where I could apply for an internship. And what ended up being most helpful for me was having people that maybe they had already applied and they had already gotten internships, but also working with others that were in the same struggle as I was, right? All in all, my recommendation is that you do put some effort towards meeting other people that you can closely collaborate with and that you can almost use to hold you accountable on this journey, right? And what I mean by that is that you want to have people that you feel like you're, again, there we go back to that example of you're both going to battle together. You're both struggling through classes, getting through these difficult courses, understanding what you could do better as far as applying, how you can fix bugs on your projects, but also by that same token, have people nearby that you can get some sort of mentorship from, right? People that are already more experienced, more advanced, that have already gone through what you went through, right? And that's why I emphasize this part here where you can, 10 hackathons. If you attend a hackathon, yeah, it's cool that they have prizes. It's cool that they bring other companies, but that's going to be a very social environment where you're going to be surrounded with people that are in the same boat as you. And again, yes, it's likely that a lot of people are going to be smarter, more, not necessarily smarter and more talented, but that are going to be a little more advanced in the skills that they have, but there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to be, below your level, and they'd be glad to talk to somebody like you, and I can help them or explain certain things to them, right? So again, hackathons, don't take them only for trying to win a prize or trying to put something on your resume, right? Use that as an opportunity where you could potentially meet somebody that, again, is going to be side to side with you in battle. School clubs, right? There's going to be, if you're in school, if you're in if you're in university or community college, there's more likely going to be the developer clubs. There's going to be, just student organizations geared towards technology. I definitely recommend going to those meetings. Definitely recommend attending their events. Definitely recommend, asking your school counselor if you can't find them anywhere, if you might want to start one. I know in my school there was a good amount, but because I was starting out and I wanted to meet people faster, I just started my own club. So that can also be helpful to tutoring. That's an opportunity that you can leverage, especially if you feel like maybe you're not getting maybe you need a little bit more help, and maybe you have a professor that's busy with office hours. Tutoring is going to help in meeting other students, going to help meeting, people that are a little bit more advanced, aka your tutors. And again, that's probably going to be somewhere where there's going to be other students also trying to improve their skills, right? So definitely a great environment for that. Networking events. So this and career fairs is basically going to be the same. Again, you do put all the effort you need to put. Dress up, make your resume. Even if you don't think your resume is the best, don't let that opportunity pass you by, because again, you're going to see, aside from the companies you're going to meet, if you have other students maybe that you had in previous classes, colleagues, that kind of stuff, you're going to be able to probably ask them about what they're applying to. You're probably going to be able to take a peek at the resume. You're probably going to run into people that are applying to internships and see why they're applying to them, right? So again, this is just another opportunity for you to kind of network, meet fellow students, and potentially make a friend that you can kind of let join you in this journey. So again, if I know to some extent all these solutions, they seem very geared towards the in-person trajectory of going back to college and trying to get your degree. But if it's not something that's available for you because maybe you decide to go the online route, definitely leverage joining Discord groups or school groups. I know for me, my goal is to grow my community. The link's going to be in the description. And if that's something you want to leverage in terms of maybe you want some critique on your resume, maybe you want some one-on-one guidance in terms of, what kind of career path you should take, if it's the right fit for you, definitely join that group. And, we'll have Q&A sessions, we'll have one-on-one calls. Again, this is all going to be more towards if you're doing this remotely, you don't have the benefit of going to school, you don't have the benefit of maybe you just don't know anybody in the industry. Like that's where I was at when I started. And again, the goal of that is going to be for you to be helped, but also as you progress in your journey, for you to help others in the future. That's my goal. And I think that'll be a very great thing to do for others. So I think that's where we can wrap up. Again, if there's any questions you have in the future, if you want a little more information and guidance, feel free to book a one-on-one with me, and also watch some of the other content. We discuss other things like, how you can get the job, what are the things you should focus on your path, and all that good stuff. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.